Folks, I wanted to do something yesterday on the hot potato that's doing the rounds at the moment. Obviously, started off recently in Oldham, and after Musker's got involved, everybody's talking about it. Seen something yesterday on, I think it's the Storm Huntley show. She was wincing, to be honest with you. We had a Pakistani gentleman ring up. You've got a panel with one of them's, is it the OWEN Jones, is it? Well, I believe he's a bit Marmite. He's liked in some quarters and disliked in others. I very much disliked him yesterday. I thought, what an absolute prize pillock. A guy that rung up the show, a guy called Joshi, Pakistani an origin. He rung up the show and he called Owen Jones just that, an absolute pillock. I think he called him a useful pillock. I don't know what he's useful for. I may have misheard that. They're talking of grooming and grooming gangs throughout the country. And Jones has got this bee in his bonnet that there's only a certain percentage that is Pakistani. And we should be looking at all. Of course we should. Nobody's saying we shouldn't. But this primarily is focusing on Pakistani. And the reason it is because so many folk have turned a blind eye over the last 15 or 20 years. Jones can spew out the figures he wants to, and he was percentage this, percentage that. But the figures are wrong. Because the figures are based on all the English stuff and the white males. That's there. Them figures are spot on. They're spot on because nobody's sweeping that under the carpet. Right. Folk might not be focusing on them the same way at the moment. It might not be the big thing in the news. Jones is correct there. But although Jones is saying there's a lot more white and white gangs doing grooming, he's got to realise there's a hell of a lot more white within the country. And as I say, for the last 15 and 20 years, when it's been endemic throughout the country, nothing's been done. Police forces, social workers, everybody's turned a blind eye other than the greats like Maggie Oliver. They're few and far between. And this fellow rings up yesterday, this Joshi, and he said, look, I'm Pakistani in origin, my father's Pakistani, but let me just say this. This Pakistani grooming started in Pakistan, and they brought it over here. He said the big problem is second cousin marriages. He said second cousin marriages, and Storm's wincing thinking, oh no, what's he going to say now? Second cousin marriages, I want to make sure to get this right, have made people sick and mentally ill. He said, and that's what's behind the whole thing. He said it's rife within this country, but it started in Pakistan. And he said that Jones is a pillock trying to defend the indefensible. He said, I'm Pakistani and he should not be defending these people that are carrying out these heinous crimes. And Jones gets on his high horse about numbers and this and that and the other. And he just doesn't get it in his head. Whatever figures he's got of Asian gangs, they'll be wrong because, as I say, they've not been looked into and investigated properly. They might be doing it now, but it's retrospectively. The numbers will still never stack up to what they should be. But also, I don't think he's getting it right. And I don't think many people are. I mean, I'm a nobody. I'm nothing. Doesn't matter whether they do another review. Many are calling for it. Many of the victims are calling for it. And then maybe they should. But they had a review that lasted 7 years. And nothing was done on the end of it. This review's only going to last a number of months. And it's in 5 different towns, I think, or boroughs. But still, not a lot probably done at the end of it other than spending a lot of money. What they do need to do, as I said about a week ago, isn't so much do more reviews, but just to put the foot down and say, right, going forward, anybody that's convicted does X amount of years in prison. You don't come out early, and then you get transported back to your country of origin. That will help stop them. Now, what's happening is, the ones that they've imprisoned, they've let many of them out early, they're all supposed to be deported, they've all sought legal aid, and virtually all, probably 90 or 95% of them all, are still over here. And they're staying over here, it's looking like. So what I do, I put some kind of laws in and say, well, I'll tell you what you're going to do. If you get convicted of grooming and you're an Asian, you're a Pakistani, whatever it may be, what we're going to do with you, we're going to put you inside, regardless of how big a figure you played in this scheme, we're going to put you inside for 20 years. No parole. If you want, there's option 2. You come out after 10. But after 10 years, you go back to your country of birth and you sign something before you go in to say that you're happy for us to think you back. There's no legal aid, there's no nothing, you get deported. Those things will put an end or a hell of a lot to this. There's no doubt about that in my mind, and I really believe that. But the thing that I always not getting is, yes, there might be more grooming, white folk grooming kiddies. They might well be. They might well be, 100% there. But as I said, there's more cases of it, and they're recorded where they're not recorded with the Asian side of things, because they're not turning a blind eye to the whites. It might not be getting the same kind of publicity, but they're not turning a blind eye. The reason this is blown up massively over the last 15 or 20 years is because so many people have turned a blind eye because of Asian, Pakistani, wherever they may be, because of racism, and they're scared of using that term of wherever they may be born, is they've got away with it and got away with it and gotten away with it. And as I've said in the past, we're still talking in the main about white British girls. The white folk are doing it to them. The Pakistani folk are doing it to them. It's always our girls. It's white British girls who are getting it in the neck and everywhere else all the time. And it needs to stop. But the thing is, with the whites, they might not be in the press as much, but they go into trial and they get in jailed and they serve in terms. Many of the whites might be white British. We can't deport them or do anything with them. All we can do is imprison them. Then when the time is up, let them out. But we have an option with those that were born in another country. We can say, if you offend on our shores, if you offend horrifically and do something really bad, which we as a nation, as a country aren't happy with, we'll put you in prison over here so you serve your time, but then you're back on a boat or a plane and we deport you. And that, Owen Jones, is what you're missing out on. That's what you should be focusing on, rather than the numbers and whatever else, because that's what many folk are saying that they're upset with. There's people that have come from other countries that have lived over here, they're committing crime over here, they go into prison over here, they're supposed to be being deported, they're not getting deported, and these young girls that have been through hell for years and years and years are bumping into these people in the streets. And it's wrong and it needs sorting out. That Owen Jones, what an absolute prize pillock. I mean, Storm, honestly, she was wincing like I can't tell you when this guy's on about arranged marriages and, second cousin marriages and sick in the head and whatever else. But, I mean, he's Pakistani. He's saying it. There's nothing racist there. He's calling his own people. He's saying it started in Pakistan and it's happening over here. And he believes this should be sorted properly. They should be dealt with properly. And he believes there should be inquiries and there should be proper sentences. Owen, on his part, doesn't really, he's trying to spin it. He's trying to keep everybody happy, isn't he, Owen? Can't be called racist, can he? If he says, what about the white folk? The white folk are getting dealt with. We're not seeing as much in the paper, but they're getting dealt with. If they're white British, we can't send them to another country. They're born over here. But we have an option with others. And let's make the streets safer if we can deport others that have committed crimes in this country. But, you see, they're coming out of prison and fighting to stay over here with legal aid. Why is that? Because they want to stay in the UK. Like when they came over here years ago, they moved from Pakistan to the UK. They don't want to go back. How many white grooming gangs, how many white groomers come out and they want to go to Pakistan to live in Pakistan? None of them. They all want to live over here. Everyone wants to live over here. Over here's the gravy train. Everybody wants to be here. We have the option, we have a chance of putting these folks that are coming over here and carrying out these awful, awful, awful crimes on young white British girls. We have a chance of getting them out of the country once and for all. Exercise that right. Do it.